Your mind is like a room. Right now, that room might feel crowded with notifications demanding attention, conversations you replayed from yesterday, worries about tomorrow, and the constant hum of digital voices competing for space in your consciousness. Most people never realize they have the power to decide what gets to stay and what must leave. Musonius Rufus understood this power of mental curation. He taught his students in Rome that consciousness operates like a sacred dwelling where only worthy thoughts deserve residence. The quality of your inner life depends entirely on how carefully you choose what gains entry to that space. But here is what makes this ancient practice urgent for our time. Digital technology has created more mental visitors than any human mind was designed to host. Every device carries thousands of voices, each one convinced their message deserves immediate access to your thoughts. Without the discipline Musonius taught, your mental room becomes an overcrowded marketplace where nothing meaningful can take root. The first principle involves understanding what Stoics called the doorway of attention. Every piece of information that enters your awareness passes through this doorway, but most people leave it unguarded. They allow any stimulus to walk directly into their mental space without permission or evaluation. News alerts stroll in whenever they please. Social media updates set up permanent residence in the corners of your consciousness. Entertainment streams establish loud neighbors that make sustained thinking nearly impossible. This is not accidental invasion, but willing surrender of your most sacred territory. When Musonius spoke about disciplined thinking, he emphasized that the mind naturally seeks order, but requires active maintenance to achieve it. A room left unattended fills with clutter. A consciousness left unguarded fills with noise. The practice begins with recognizing that you are the host, not the guest, in your own mental space. Every thought that enters your awareness should be there by invitation, not by accident. Digital platforms profit from keeping your mental doorway permanently open. They design their content to bypass your conscious filtering and establish immediate residence in your thoughts. Bright colors, urgent language, and social triggers all function like lockpicks on your attention. Their business model depends on your inability to curate your own consciousness. The second principle centers on what Musonius called selective hospitality. Not every mental visitor deserves the same welcome or the same duration of stay. Some thoughts serve important functions and should be honored guests. Others are passing messengers that deliver useful information and then depart. Many are unwelcome intruders that consume resources without providing any value in return. Learning to distinguish between these categories requires practice, but transforms the entire quality of your inner experience. Useful thoughts contribute to decision-making, problem-solving, or genuine connection with what matters most in your life. They earn their place in your mental space through service to your deeper purposes. Neutral thoughts provide necessary information without demanding emotional investment. They visit briefly, share their message, and leave without creating disturbance. Harmful thoughts create agitation, comparison, fear, or distraction without offering any constructive pathway forward. These are the ones that must be shown to the door immediately, regardless of how persistently they knock. People entertain every mental visitor with equal hospitality, treating anxious speculation about the future with the same attention they give to planning meaningful action in the present. This undiscriminating hospitality exhausts mental resources and crowds out the thoughts that actually deserve careful consideration. The third principle involves what Stoics called intentional arrangement. Just as a physical room functions better when organized thoughtfully, your mental space requires deliberate structure to support clear thinking. This means creating specific times and places for different types of mental activity. Problem solving gets focused attention during designated periods, rather than scattered worry throughout the day. Information gathering happens at chosen intervals, rather than constant consumption that fragments concentration. Reflection and planning receive dedicated space, rather than competing with entertainment and distraction for the same mental resources. Most people try to do all types of thinking simultaneously, like hosting a business meeting, a meditation session, and a party in the same room at the same time. The result is confusion rather than clarity. Intentional arrangement means giving each type of mental activity the proper environment it requires to be genuinely useful. When Musonius taught about the disciplined mind, he emphasized that discipline creates freedom rather than restriction. A cluttered room limits your ability to find what you need and creates constant low-level stress from visual chaos. A curated room makes every necessary item easily accessible and provides calm space for important activities. The same principle applies to consciousness. The fourth principle focuses on what ancient Stoics called protective boundaries. Mental room needs walls that keep unwanted intrusions from disrupting important inner work. These boundaries are not built once, but maintained continuously through small daily choices about where you direct your attention. Protective boundaries include time limits on information consumption, so news and social media serve specific purposes rather than becoming background noise that colors your entire day. They include physical boundaries, like keeping devices out of spaces dedicated to rest, reflection, or meaningful conversation. They include social boundaries, like choosing not to absorb other people's emotional chaos as if it were your responsibility to carry their mental burdens. These boundaries feel restrictive only if you have forgotten what mental freedom actually requires. True freedom means the ability to think clearly about what matters most to you, without constant interruption from forces that profit from your fragmented attention. Protective boundaries create space where your own judgment can operate effectively, instead of reacting automatically to whatever stimulus appears most recently on your mental doorstep. The fifth principle involves what Musonius called the practice of conscious hosting. This means taking active responsibility for the quality of your mental environment, rather than hoping it will organize itself spontaneously. Conscious hosting begins each day with a few moments of intentional silence, allowing your awareness to settle into itself before inviting any external voices to join the conversation. It includes regular periods of mental housekeeping, where you notice what thoughts have been occupying space in your consciousness and whether they have earned their place through genuine usefulness. It involves ending each day with gentle evaluation of what gained entry to your mental room and how those guests affected your ability to think clearly about what truly matters. Most people never practice conscious hosting because they have never realized they possess this authority over their own inner experience.
They treat their consciousness like a public square where anyone can set up camp, rather than like a private home where they choose the guest list. This abdication of mental sovereignty creates constant low-level anxiety because there is never space for sustained attention to meaningful questions. Musonius lived through political upheaval, exile, and persecution that would overwhelm most modern minds, yet he maintained perfect clarity by treating his consciousness as territory under his own governance. He engaged with external circumstances when engagement served his principles, but he never allowed external chaos to become internal chaos. The path back to mental clarity begins with a simple recognition. Your mind is like a room, and you are its only rightful inhabitant. Every thought that takes up residence there should be there by your conscious choice, not by accident or external manipulation. This recognition leads to the practice that changes everything. Before allowing any new information or stimulus into your mental space, pause long enough to ask whether this particular guest will contribute to or detract from your ability to think clearly about what matters most in your life. Start small. Choose 1 hour each day to practice being the conscious host of your own awareness. During this hour, guard the doorway of your attention like you would guard the entrance to your home. Notice what tries to enter. Choose what deserves welcome. This single hour will teach you that mental clarity is not a gift that some people receive and others lack, but a skill that anyone can develop through consistent practice. Your mind is like a room, and you hold the key. The question is whether you will use it to create space for wisdom, or surrender it to forces that profit from your confusion. If this moved you, comment "The Citadel holds" below. It is our sign that you carry the philosophy with you. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.